Hey everyone, Cherub here and welcome back to another Pokemon Masters video. So we finally got the 1.5 year anniversary day to mine, and all I can honestly say to that is, oh my god. So we'll start off with the main star of the show, Leon, since it's his face that's taken over the game's new icon. I kind of preferred the last one, but it's alright. Right, so let's first address the elephant in the room. Yes, this is the second Gacha Sync pair with a Charizard. Personally, for me being a Charizard fanboy, I kind of love it, but I can definitely also understand why so many people who think that Charizard gets way too much pandering from Nintendo, and I guess by proxy now DNA, would feel irritated that he isn't with something else like Dragapult. But like, if we're being honest, Charizard is his main and it does fit him better. But also keep in mind that this now has set the precedent for any kinds of future sync pairs to have Pokemon that are already taken. So that could definitely be something interesting to look forward to. As for Leon, well, he's not exactly all that different from Red, to be honest. Well, I mean, like, he's definitely quite a bit stronger. Certainly, not the sync move, but his main move, Inferno, is way stronger than Red's Blast Burn, and we'll get to why in a second. But like, Red's already one of the most powerful units in the game, and definitely no one will have had any complaints about Red's damage output, so the power that Leon brings to the table might just be a tad on the excessive side, and make him not that much of a mass must-have if you already have a 3 out of 5 Red. Actually, scratch that. You definitely don't need to pick him up if you've got Red. But with the amount of insane units we're getting next month, having one that can be scratched off that list for being a bit of a superfluous choice is great, since it narrows then your options for whom to go for a bit. So there's that. Alright then, so with that being said, let's take a deeper dive at the into looking at the unit for those people who, like myself included obviously, will definitely be summoning for him. Starting off with his moves, he's got Hurricane and Earthquake. Now, these are two moves that we're already very familiar with, thanks to Blue and Cynthia. The new move that he has is Inferno, though, and it's just downright incredible. So basically what it is essentially a very slightly stronger Blast Burn that will be guaranteed to burn the opponent. It's like, its only one downside would have been its terrible 50% accuracy, but that's just completely irrelevant due to the fact that this Charizard also has Piercing Gaze, which actually comes in super handy for his Hurricane as well. As for his trainer move, which is called Strike Oppose, it's got only one use, and it sharply raises both of his defenses and raises his crit by 1 stage, and makes the next move that he'll use not cost any gauge, just like N and Palatine Serena. It also lowers his defense and special defense by 1 stage. So like, on the surface, I think this move looks super good, but it's, if you like think about it in a bit more of a context, it's a bit more of a mixed bag, because it obviously provides some fantastic buffs, but Leon just seems a little bit on the slow side to max out his offenses, since you kind of have to rely on his MP Rekindle passive to get the most out of his trainer move, as you're going to need to use it 3 times. So what I think is probably best is to just bring support to max out Leon's offenses for him to get it done with quicker, like Sabrina, Lyra, Signasuit Blue, just like the standard offensive stats plus crit buffing units. Like, it's obviously fantastic if you do get the Rekindle quickly, but I wouldn't rely on getting it quickly, since it is still only a 30% chance, and it's going to be a shame to not be using Leon at his max damage potential as quickly as possible, you know? Also keep in mind that using it 3 times is also going to give you -3 on both of your defenses, which is admittedly kind of like slightly offset by his amazing Galar Flagbearer passive. I suppose this is the perfect moment to start talking about that. So this is Leon's master passive that was alluded to, and it sounds honestly fascinating based off how it's worded. So basically, for how it's worded word for word in the text dump that we got all the data mined info from, is that it powers up the moves of allied sync pairs by 10%. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. However, what it also says is that it reduces the attack damage taken by all sync pairs by about 20%. Like, attack in that sentence being the interesting word here, as that's the nomenclature used by stuff like critical strike and sterner stuff. This would imply that not only does it reduce the damage of opposing sync moves when they hit you, but it would actually reduce the base power of the attacks hitting you, and not just buffing up your defenses, which is super useful on a unit like Leon, who doesn't have that much of a base defensive groundwork to make a multiplier based off of that very particularly impactful. So like basically think of Wallace's sterner stuff. Like his physical defense isn't that great, but since sterner stuff applies to the opponent's damage and not your defense, you take a lot less damage compared to as if it worked the other way around. Keep in mind also that you will furthermore boost your damage from this passive, and it can go up to about 30%. So Leon gives the first base 10%, but it can go up to 30% if there are 2 other Galarian Sync pairs on the team, or rather units like trainers that come from Galar, not Galarian Pokemon, because otherwise Dawnberry would be one of the ones that would get it. But I don't think she has the Galarian passive. I think she has the Sinnoh passive. And the secondary part of the ability, the defensive part, can go up to 26% in the same situation. So for each Galarian Sync pair on the team, you get another 10%, and for each Galarian Sync pair on the team, you also get another 3%. So basically, 30% damage output max and 26% defensive buff. Yeah, so it's honestly truly a phenomenal passive. It's not too relevant just yet, but we'll just have to wait for a few more Galarian Sync pairs to come out to see who Leon will partner particularly well with. And I'm guessing like when we get the Fire Gym leader, Kabu, we'll obviously have the Fire type team skill, we'll have the Galarian passive team skill, and we'll see what else, maybe Kabu is going to be able to set Sun or something like that. Who knows? But it would definitely be very interesting to see how Centiskorch might work with Leon. So yeah, this passive is phenomenal. We'll have to see exactly how it works, but based off how they've worded stuff in the past, and how they've worded this passive, the way I've explained it, I think should be correct. So his last passive is called Super Preparation 4. Now, I obviously don't have access to Leon yet, so I'm not entirely sure if this works like the multiplier super duper effective, or if it works like N's trainer move. I would be putting my money on it working like N's trainer move, which is huge, as it would mean that it would also apply to boosting Leon's damage sync move. The reason I think it works like N's passive, N's trainer move, and not like the super duper effective passive, is that in the text up it's got that little arrow pointing upwards, which if I'm not mistaken N's also has, although since I don't have N I can't check super quickly, but yeah. I do think that's the way N's passive works. But either way, having a 50% chance to make your next hit deal 50% more damage on top if it's super effective is absolutely phenomenal. And if he gets that passive to proc, it makes him it certainly makes him the most powerful damage dealer in the game, and I think I'm like by a huge margin. But even without that passive procking, he's still at like at the top of the very top of the list. That passive is definitely fantastic, and it's 50% multiplier. But he even has another multiplier on his grid, which is what we're going to get to now. Right, so this is Leon's sync grid. We're just going to cover over all the interesting nodes, and then I'll talk about what I think I'd probably go for. Let's just start off at the top. We've got healthy super hit. This basically applies the super effective hit to the user for the first time when it enters a battle. Super nice for Battle Villa, and yeah, it just basically guarantees instead of relying on a 50% chance, you've got 100% chance for this passive to proc. But I do think it's a bit superfluous. It's cheap, it's only 6 energy, but I'd rather just pick up stuff that you're going to be proccing this 50% of the time anyway, and you'll be spamming moves. So I'd probably skip this one, even though it is objectively a really great node. And we've got the Inferno Move Gauge Refresh 5. This is the highest MGR that we've ever seen on a sync grid, if I'm not mistaken. A 60% chance. It's fantastic. It's just fantastic. Got Inferno power-up nodes here. Kind of expensive for not too much, but this one up here is 3, so something to keep in mind. Over here we've got Fast Track 2, because that's kind of interesting since Leon has no other way of boosting his speed. But with the fact that he's got the MGR 5, he's got the free move from his trainer move, and you'll probably want to give him a speed buffing support or move gauge acceleration support or something. There's plenty of options, so for 10 energy I'd also kind of like pass on this one, to be honest. Stat Reboot 9, once per battle, returns lowers stats to normal when in a pinch. Well, like, it's useful if you're not really going for support for Leon, but are instead relying entirely on his trainer move. But you don't really want to be in a pinch anyway, since when your strike's in a pinch, you're pretty much close to losing the battle anyway. And like, getting those lowered stats back to normal when you're at such low HP isn't going to prevent the next move from knocking you out anyway. So for another 10 energy cost, this is another one I definitely skip. Other than that, we've got like Earthquake MGR 3, and a couple of power nodes, super power-up nodes, some super standard stuff. Same over here with Hurricane, exact same thing actually. And then for the other passive nodes, we've got Sync Stat Reboot 3. Moderately good chance of returning the user's lowered stats to normal after using a sync move. If you're syncing with Leon, which I think you probably should, honestly, I mean, it's fine. It's fine, but again, I think I'd just prefer to bring support instead of relying on his trainer moves. So, 10, like it's fine, but 10 energy is just, I think, too expensive. All right, let's get to the good stuff now. Scorching Sync 5, flat 50% boost to your sync move when the target's burned, which it's always going to be, since why would you not be using Inferno? And yeah, so a nice flat 50% there. Also keep in mind that since he doesn't Mega Evolve, his sync move is the standard 300 base power. Superb, absolutely superb. So that's a nice 450 base power, and then keep in mind that can be further multiplied by Sun. So yeah. Then we have obviously like Sync Nuke nodes, Sync Burst 1. This is super interesting, amazing for Battle Villa, but probably not too useful elsewhere, since like if you have this, you're guaranteed 2 of Leon's trainer moves. But that still doesn't max out your crit or your offenses, so you will need to rely on 1 Rekindle, but that's almost certain to happen based on the amount of moves you're spamming. So Sync Burst 1, like we've seen this before in Gloria, and it makes her probably one of the best Battle Villa units in the game. Leon having this on his grid, I mean, and the fact that we now have multi-grids means that you'll be able to just like make a Battle Villa focused grid, maybe with like this, and yeah, like probably this, and just like keep spamming Leon's trainer move and destroying stages with it. But for Champion Stadium, probably not the most impactful sync node that you can pick up. However, the one next to it is super good. Flat 30% power increase to all of your moves when the target's burned, which you only need 1 free, and keep in mind, Inferno, you can get a free 1 based off after using your trainer move. So even if you're going for a flying or ground DPS unit, kind of Charizard, depending on the stage, burn synergy it's still in your interest to use Inferno prior to using those moves, just to get the burn on the target, which obviously, like, this is only to get the multiplier, but keep in mind that not only when the target gets burned, they're also taking passive damage, and they're also getting their physical attack cut, which makes Leon kinda like way tankier than he first looks. I just can't believe the fact that we have I always thought that Red's Charizard didn't have multipliers because it'd be too much, since he already has such huge power, like in Sun, off the base power of his move, and his crazy stats. Leon has all those things too, but he also has 30% multipliers, so they're definitely power creeping here. And this is like the reason why, because like, since his base power is so high, having a really good multiplier like 30% is so much more impactful than if he had like a low base power move like, I don't know, Stone Edge or Shadow Ball or something like that. Then furthermore, we've got Rejuvenate 6. It's always really great to pick up. I probably, for the build I'd go for Leon, I probably wouldn't need it. But it's only 8 cost, and it's really, really useful if you're using it with like another secondary striker. And keep in mind that Leon partners pretty well with Gloria, since Gloria basically almost gives gauges with her move gauge refresh and her insane speed. Then they've got the Galarian passive will activate for each other, and you could maybe even throw on Pearson there as well to give both of them max crit right away, and for the Galarian passive stuff. Burstin, yeah, this is terrible, never take it. So yeah, basically I'll show you the grid that I would probably go for Leon if I'm using him as a fire type attacker. I'd go down here, pick up the Scorching Sync move node, then go down here and pick up Burn Synergy. So that's going to be our multipliers, and then we've got 19 energy left. So what I'd do is probably pick up the Inferno move gauge refresh 5, and then we've got 4 energy left, so we might as well take up the strongest Inferno power-up node. And that would be my fire-type DPS Leon sync grid. Otherwise, if you want to do flying or ground kind of Leon, then just go for like Hurricane, MGR, probably go down here and pick up Burn Synergy as well. Pick up more Hurricane nodes, then we've got 14 energy left, let's see. I don't know if I'd want to pick something that is based off Leon sinking, since if I want flying type damage, I probably will just bring a flying type striker to do the sync move, but yeah, 14 energy left. Honestly, this is kind of a waste then, I suppose. 19 energy left, that's already looking a bit better. That's 10. You can pick up Fast Track. You can pick up Stat Reboot. So a lot of stuff that proc on sync, and that isn't really useful when you want the... I suppose honestly picking up Inferno MGR is still super, super useful, since you want to be burning your opponents for the burn synergy as well. So it's probably best to pick that up. I might as well make that stronger. I could just go something like this then in that case. And you can easily just like take all these away for the Earthquake power-up nodes as well, if you want to go for Earthquake and use them on a Sand team with Cynthia. Like both of these units spamming Earthquake, that does not sound like a fun time for the opponent to me. Yeah, so those were the grids I'd go with. I don't personally, like objectively, I don't think you should. I think you should save your gems if you already have 3 out of 5 red. But if you're a Leon fanboy, or much rather a Leon fanboy, a Charizard fanboy, and want to pick him up, yeah, like he's fantastic. Like the only thing better than red is another better red. So, okay, my bias really might be seeping through here, but come on, who cares? Everyone gets excited over their favorite Pokemon. And like red can already be used as like a free win in a Champion Stadium stage, and Leon can do the exact same. And furthermore, he's a fantastic Battle Villa unit with all his free stuff that he's seemingly got like taken a lot of inspiration from both N and Gloria, based off the passives that he has on his sync grid. And yeah, honestly, completely fantastic, like absolutely incredible unit. I'd love to have him. I really hope I get him quickly so that I can save gems up for some of the other stuff that's coming further on in the month. But yeah, as amazing as Leon is, I think he might not even be the best unit to come out of the State of Mind. But stay tuned for the next one, since I'll be releasing the next video tomorrow. And yeah, take care until then, guys. See ya.